Guys,
Yes, sir.
all right, it's time for part two. I'm hoping you guys saw the video that I uploaded ASAP. Oh, wait, that's not us. It's for advanced computing too. Right. So I'm hoping that you guys saw that video. And those of you who didn't get a chance to who got a little left behind because we were kind of moving fast in the morning time, you were able to catch up. All right. So we're gonna continue. We're gonna jump right in because as I said, this one is a mouthful. How much people do we have here? We have 15, 16, we have 14 people. So this is not everybody from this morning, but we are going to keep moving now. Right? I need to disable the waiting room. Second. All right. So we're going to keep it going. Let's see. All right, so we are on exercise 4. We are on exercise 4 and we are continuing with on our journey here. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah.
Okay, everyone, welcome to.
All right.
First thing we want to do is let us select our elevation. Well, let's turn off the text layer. There we go. We're going to select all of our elevation and we're going to put that on a new layer and we're going to call that elevation. So we're going to create a new layer and our new layer is located here. New layer button. And when it created the new layer, we want to call this elevation drawing. Great. So now we need to highlight the layer, right click and say move to new layer. So now we can turn the elevation on or off depending. I think I might have made an error there. Hold on. There we go. There we go. Right. So now we can turn the layer on or off as we please. Now, one of the reasons for doing this is we actually want to lock this layer. So I'm going to lock the elevation drawing layer. And I'm going to use my pen tool now. Let's create a new layer and I'll call it updated line work. There we go. Call it updated line work. Now this layer we want to be on top of the elevation drawing layer. And what we're going to do on this updated line work layer is to kind of fix up some of our line work so that our drawing reads a bit more nicer. So I'm going to get my pen tool and I'm going to make sure that the elevation layer is locked. All right, that's important because when we draw on our updated line layer, we don't want it to be merging or messing with that elevation drawing layer. So I'm just going to trace this over here, and what I'm doing is just tracing over the lines. Now Illustrator has the ability to snap to anchors, but I mean, we're going to make this line really thick. So if it doesn't 100% snap, it should be fine. There we go. Press escape. I'm going to use my selection tool so I can see that that is the line that I have drawn. And then what I'm going to do is now I'm going to make this line thicker. So I'm going to go to my stroke tool and I'm going to perhaps make this line about 0.5, probably 0.8. Actually, let me fix up my stroke and fill here. So I want to ensure that I'm on my stroke. All right, you need to make sure that. So your stroke is highlighted. And I want to make the stroke 0.8. Maybe let's try making it 1. 1 is actually, yeah, there we go. So we have a nice, strong baseline there, as you can see. All right. I might have left off a section here, so I'm going to just use my pen tool and continue this line out there like that. There we go. All right. Now we can use this method to kind of enhance other lines, but pretty much this is good enough. All right. Now what we're going to do is use a feature to color our drawing here. Now, this feature called Live Paint Bucket is a feature that's very, I would say, underappreciated in Illustrator. It's very useful for us, but yet a lot of persons perhaps forget about this tool, even advanced Illustrator users, right? So what the Live Paint tool is, it uses the ability to, it basically gives us the ability to fill, to use a paint bucket to fill certain enclosed areas, right? And to give that, if we should look at a little example over here, if I have a bunch of squares, and you can do this example here, you can try this example for yourself. Now obviously I have different squares here, and these are all different shapes. However, where they intersect, like here and here, they form new shapes. However, we are unable to easily fill in this intersected shape. And this is what the Live Paint Bucket allows us to do. Because currently Illustrator, if we should just allow these shapes to intersect, there's no way to only fill in the areas that are intersected, that are intersecting. Now the Live Paint Bucket is located as a subtool here under the Shape Builder tool. So if we click and hold, we should be able to hover over to Live Paint Bucket, and now we're using the Live Paint Bucket tool. Now, very carefully, how the Live Paint Bucket tool works.
I don't have that one.
If you try to use the Paint Bucket tool now,
Yeah, so the shortcut for the Live Paint Bucket is K, so you can just use that. Right? And for those of you who are using the newer version of Illustrator, you can check in your 3 dots that you have there, because I think Illustrator minimized some of the tools. So you can check in your 3 dots, and then you should see the option there. So for example, if it looks like this, you should be able to click here, and then you can find it in this listing here, right? It looks like a little paint bucket. But as I said, you can literally just press K and you will switch to the Live Paint Bucket tool. Just hit K. I think that's the shortest option. All right.
it's basically not going to work. What you have to do is, if you try to use the
Let me-
Paint Bucket tool now, it's basically not going to work. What you have to do is use your direct selection tool first. So step 1, you use your selection tool rather. Select all of the elements that you want to be a part of the live paint group. Then you go to your live paint bucket, and notice you get this message that says click to make a live paint group. Now once you click this, notice that you can now hover over these different areas, and what happens now, if I use my color picker and just pick a color, I am now able to fill in these individual areas even though there are individual shapes. So you can do this little test here to kind of get a feel of how the live paint group works. Essentially what it did, it created a group. So this is actually a special group here. I can move it around. However, I can still go inside the group. So to go inside this group, I can double click. And now I'm inside this group, and I'm still able to move these shapes around. And yet it will keep the colors that were assigned to the intersecting areas. And that is a major cool feature. And we can really utilize that a lot, especially in architecture, to help color our buildings. All right, so now that we have that out of the way, there is one more concept that we need to understand in order to, before we start to color our shape. Now, I want to explain a little bit about color, because yes, we can turn this into a live paint group and we're now able to color these elements here, but how do we know what color to use, right? So color is a major it is a major skill. Choosing the right color is a major skill that we eventually develop in this design field. And Illustrator actually has the tools to help us be better color pickers. In other words, better designers. Now, what I'm about to show you here is actually a tip that has existed in Illustrator, I think, since its inception. And it's also a little secret that if you're trying to determine what colors go well together, Illustrator has the ability to assist you, to help you to do that. So if we as designers were faced with this problem where we're trying to decide what color should we paint this building in, if you think about it, it's the same kind of question we might ask ourselves: what color shirt should I wear with these shoes? Or what color furniture should I get? What color bedspread should I get to match this curtain? So there are many design problems that exist that is centered around color selection. And what happened, Illustrator has, I call it the dynamic trio of tools that can help us to select the correct color without even breaking a sweat. Now, to use this skill, so these three tools, or rather three panels, is the color panel. The next one is the swatches panel. And the last one is the color guide panel. So with these three panels, you can passively always select the correct color in whatever application you're using color. It could be with architecture, with fashion, with fabric, doesn't really matter. The way how these tools work, it works using the color theory, and your selections, if driven by color theory, will automatically always work. Okay, so in order to let this work, and I'll show you an example here, the first thing that you need to do is decide, let's put these three panels over here, as we're going to be using three of them to help with this. We're going to minimize the other panels here, and we're going to just attach these three panels together here.
6 p.m.
All right, there we go. So we're going to put these panels over here. Okay, so now we have our icons organized. Let's put this layer one over here. Right, now we have our icons organized. Now the first thing we need to do is, if we wanted to decide what color to paint this building and we had no idea what color we want to select, we could always start with a theme. Now to do that, you're going to choose the library icon, which is here. It is a sub icon under the swatches menu. So when we select that, this is where you select a theme. So let's say you wanted to use colors that are based in nature. Well, you could go in the nature category, and what subcategory? How about seasons? Well, what you would notice that Illustrator does, it gives you a library of these colors that would be considered under the seasons category. And right away, you have a range of colors to pick from. And within each row are colors that are pretty much made to go together. So you could just basically select one row here and color your building that color. Now, the next step that we would use, let's say that we might like one color out of this set here, but maybe we don't like the other colors in the row. Well, so I'm going to pick let's choose a kind of burnt orange color, maybe earthy burnt orange. Maybe that's too dark, maybe that one. So let's say that this is the color that I like here. Now, notice when I select that color, it also shows up on my swatches here. And it is also highlighted on my color guide here. And it tells us here on my color panel what range of cyan, magenta, yellow, and key black was used to create this color. So right away, I have a lot of information on this one color that I have selected. Now, because of these tools, I can now get the perfect color that I want. So the next step would be to use my color panel here, and I'm going to go into my color my panel options, and I'm going to change it to HSB, hue, saturation, and brightness. And what this is saying, this is telling me the amount of hue, the amount of saturation, and the amount of brightness that was used to get this color here, which is a color that I selected over here, which was based on a theme that was seasons. So you can kind of see how the seasons kind of led me down this path, the seasons theme. Now, if I don't quite like this particular color, I can always tweak the saturation or the brightness to get the exact tone that I like. However, notice that I started from this tone here, and I started from this theme here, but I don't have to pick this particular color. I can use my color panel here to just slightly give me the exact feel that I wanted. So let me go, let's say that I wanted this kind of a very pastel-y kind of brown. There. Now, once I have this color that I've now configured using the color panel, I can now save it to my swatches here. And how I save it? Well, all I need to do is to drag it into my swatches panel. So I just click this color and drag it here. So now I have saved the color. Now I have saved this color here. And you could repeat this process a number of times to save whatever color you might like. So now that you've selected a color that you definitely want to be in this building, how do I know what colors complement this color that I've selected here? Well, this is where the color guide comes in. Now, if you notice on the color guide, it always displays the color that you have currently selected. Then right beside it, it shows you a list of colors that go well together based on color theory. So what do I mean by that? Well, if we click on this down arrow here, notice on the left side of this is the color that you've selected, and on the right are the matching colors based on the color theory. And that color theory is used to drive these selections. So let's say that you want to use the triad color theory here. Well, using the triad color theory, these are the colors that go well with the color that I have selected. Now I can say, oh, I really like this green, so I'm going to select it and drag it out here. I like this purple, I'm going to drag it out here. And I like this dark brown here, I'm going to drag it out here. So right away, just by configuring one color, I was able to select multiple colors that matches the one color that I've selected. And I didn't even have to necessarily memorize my color theory. Illustrator did that for me. All right, so now that I have my colors that I like, my next step would be to now use the live paint bucket to now color my elevation. Now in order to do this, first, if you remember the steps, I'm gonna select the layer, or I currently have it locked. So I need to, now that I've finished using these swatches, I can close up this window here. I don't need this window anymore. And let's maximize this window here. There we go. So if I go to my elevation drawing, I'm going to unlock that layer, select the elevation drawing, and then I'm going to use my live paint bucket tool, which is that. And remember, it is a sub tool under the shape builder tool if you don't see it. And I'm going to click once. Now remember this, once I click, it's going to say make a live paint group. I just need to click once. Now once I do that, this is now a single group. If I use my direct selection tool and click, the entire thing now acts as one group. However, now I'm able to use my live paint tool and I can now fill in the different sections here. So remember that I had used my swatches and I had selected the color that I liked. So I'm going to color my main wall this color. Now, interestingly enough, this wall here is really at an angle. So ideally, I would want this to be a darker shade to signify that this is slant. Now to do that, I can simply just use my color guide, and I just need to choose a darker tone based on this color I have selected here. There we go. Maybe that's too dark. Let me go up another notch. Actually, that is the same color. Yep, this is the next notch down. So that would be the color there. There we go. And I can start to use from my swatches some of these colors that I have selected here. So I kind of have this darker color here I'm going to use for the rim. And let's try this in, yeah, so let's try this over here in this color here, and like that. All right, great. Now in order to do the roof, let's say that I want to make the roof a kind of burgundy color, right? Now you could do the same process again, and in the swatches panel you could use your library and look for a color here that you want to use. Let's look on the earth tone. Here we go. So I could find a nice earth tone color I want to use for the roof. Maybe this kind of orange here. And once I've selected it, I can drag it and add it to my library, to my swatches there. And now I'm able to click and color the roof. Now you might notice that you have to be clicking a while, clicking a lot here. But what you can do is click and hold. And when you click and hold, it will actually do a multiple selection so that you don't have to click a lot of times. There we go. Oops, I think I have selected. So I did an undo there. There we go. And I could do the same here. So it almost acts like a brush when I click and hold. Now to make this a little nicer, what I could do is I can use my color guide tool and choose, if you can see, this is my color here. So this color matches this color. In my color guide is the center. You can see it with a little arrow there, and going this way would be going lighter and going this way would be going darker. So let's go one shade up and then I will color again. So you notice I can get like a kind of mixed shingle look there. So you realize the color guide can be used to kind of step up or step down your color selections. So you can kind of move the mouse a little quickly to give it a kind of a random feel. Now let's say that I accidentally colored my fascia board here with the same color as the roof. I mean, because I had the swatches saved, I can just go back to my swatches here, select back my brown color, I think it was that one, and voila. All right, let's continue with the roof. All right, so once you have that all done, next we perhaps need to do the windows. So we could use the same library feature. This time we could choose something like perhaps something like skies on the gradients. Maybe choose something like that, maybe. There we go. Oops, we don't want to color the frames in that color. Maybe not, so maybe a flat color would work a bit better. So let's go back to the library and we could select something under let's go nature and let's try beach. And on the beach, yep, we do have some kind of beachy blue colors. So let's try this now. And this will give us a kind of flat color, which, oops, let's undo, which may work. You know, it's going to be up to your preference to choose what color you would want here. There we go. Okay, now for the stone wall, perhaps we could, under the same beach color, we could pick some tones here, and then we could use a different tone for the
So sir,
backdrop.
how I got Skype?
So that would
Yes. How do you get
The
what?
Skype part, you did the window part, huh?
For the window, what I did was to paint a gradient, was to use the fill bucket with a gradient. So for example, where is straighter? Here we go. Right. So for example, oh yeah, I turned this, I locked this layer. All right. Right. So what we did was to, let me pull these out so that we can see it. So this is the layers tab. Oh, this is so small. Hold on a second. Oops. Let me make these icons a little bigger. Wow. Okay, right. Right. So there we go. Right. So what we did was we selected a color. So let's go to the where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Color guide, color. And the last one is S, swatches. Here we go. Swatches, right. Swatches. So these are the three trifecta, so to speak. So we on the swatches, we went to the libraries and we pick out gradients. And under gradients, there is one that is called sky. So this is what the sky gradients look like. And we picked one of these. Oops. Yeah, make sure I don't have anything selected. Right. So we picked one of these as the fill color, and then we use the live paint bucket and we fill it. So there you go. All right.
So just fill out all the glass them like that. Yeah.
Right. Or you can use any color you want. I mean, don't use purple or shocking color green because that doesn't really reflect glass. But you get what I'm saying. But yeah, that's exactly what you did.
Blessings.
Cool.
Kind of give a interesting mix for our stones so that it has this kind of interesting color. You can maybe try grays or maybe even some gradients to let it look a bit diverse.
So hold on, so pause up with a little bit, eh?
Now remember, all
Let me
of
just
these.
finish it in that. Boy, I'm fast, man.
How is everybody else doing?
I know what them not done in this.
Is everybody just waiting for that video to drop? Come on, guys. Come on.
Exactly so. Wait, now I'll be at the job. I mean, every time you do this, I wish this class was in person.
Oh, so you would want it to be in person?
I wish this was in person. So at least you can walk around and say, all right, how you going along?
Yeah, we used to do it that way. It's an interesting thing. I normally do a survey and the majority wish that it's online naturally, probably because that, you get more time and all of that. But what I can tell you, apart from whether or not you prefer in person or online, what I can tell you is that in person, one of the challenges that we had was resources, because that lab cannot seat everybody in that lab. So we weren't able to have one big class. We had to have multiple smaller classes. And, some persons would rather come to the morning session. So the evening session, there would be like two people. And the morning session, there would be like 50 people, and nobody can find anywhere to sit. And of course, we have some, internet is down, and I mean, reality is such a hard place. Yeah, so, you know, and actually, long before COVID, I used to do recordings long before COVID where in class we would play the video and then I would walk around to different persons, right? So that was another thing that we did. But then after COVID, everybody pretty much does work with the class online. So the thing is, as I said, because you can watch the video afterwards, we don't stop as much. But what I can tell you though is that when we stop as much, those classes used to be very long. So in a way, it's not really practical. We can't wait for everybody. You get what I'm saying? Because everybody has different speed with the program. Some people is new, some people is not new. So whether we're in person or not, we would probably have to move ahead and then we watch our video to catch up anyway. So yeah, might as well have the comfort of your own place, I guess.
True. Proceed.
All right, let's keep it going.
Lines are actually coming from AutoCAD, but we're able to repurpose them more creatively when it comes into Illustrator. So that is quite awesome. Okay, now next, what we would want to do is perhaps get some entourage in this image. And if you look in your working folder, remember these images here, we actually have some vehicles in elevation. So for example, this car here, I can download it. And if I open,
Now these remember these are in the exercise files. So the link to the exercise files is on the handout. All right, so just go there and then you can download any one of these.
if I open it up, that's what it looks like. And I can copy this PNG here and I can paste it in my drawing here. Let's resize it. And you want to hold shift so you keep the ratio. Oh, actually, you're not going to get the transparent background. So let us find where it is and drag it into our scene here. Right, so now it comes in with the transparency. Rather than using the copy, just find where you downloaded it and copy it in. Oops, remember to hold shift so that it remains. And you want to get your scale correctly. I think it's about that. So as you can see, there are many other assets in this folder, including persons in elevations, trees. So for example, you could grab this tree here, as well as you can get trees from the internet. And I can drag that in. And I can resize that there and perhaps drop there. And of course, if I wanted to put it behind, I can actually create a layer called tree and place it on that layer. So that way I can choose to put it behind or in front of my drawing. So with that said, what I want you to do is to populate this drawing to now let it look a bit more architecturally rich.
What happened to my audio?
Connected to Monster Elite.
And what I'm doing here is just creating some more content. So I'm going to have a layer called and I'm going to put this person here on that layer. There we go. I can put this layer on top and I can better position this layer
Guys, are you getting audio, or is it just on my side? It's acting weird.
Going a little bit too fast, a little bit too fast.
I'm using the arrow keys to manipulate the layer.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we're hearing you.
Okay. And you're getting audio from my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. It's just my computer acting all weird. Okay. All right. For some reason.
In this scenario, I would have to have I would call this people, BG for maybe background. And this layer now, I would put them behind the elevation layer so that they are pretty much behind that layer there. Now, of course, I would need to fill this in, so I would need to go back to this layer here and use my paint bucket tool, and perhaps I can even fill this with a white color. So let's get a closer color to white and maybe fill like that. To fill these balcony items here, I could maybe use a gradient, maybe a gradient earth tone, like maybe that. No, that's a bit too heavy. So like that, so that it has a nice curved look. There we go. There we go. All right. Now you can use the transform option up here to quickly resize these. And I'm actually using, here we go. Let's see. Well, you can use the transform to position it, but you would need to, no, you wouldn't be able to use this one here. You would have to use the transform panel. Here we go. If I can remember correctly, here we go. There we go. Right, and I'm using the mouse wheel. That's actually the same thing here. Actually, it was this side, right? I'm using the mouse wheel to make it smaller. So you can actually, instead of dragging to position,
being saved from the server as well.
Use the transform panel.
This is what I would
kind of get it in the right location and the right scale.
Up to the amount of versions you choose. Oops. That's also being saved from the server as well.
There.
So this is what I would propose for a complete backup system.
Let's undo that.
That's all.
So
Sir,
how I'm
it's
proposing,
like you talk about a backup system, you know, what unnecessary. So you're on mute as well, you know, so we're not hearing.
yes, I know why. I know why. Yeah. Yeah.
And I still on baluster now, so.
Yeah, I know. But we're moving. But guess what? I'm gonna give you, don't worry, I'm gonna give you a little time to finish the elevation. Cause remember, we have two doing. We have the elevation, we have the plan. Two of them are a little different in their approach. So we're trying to cut the time in half. So my aim was to use the first half of the class to wrap up the elevations, and then I can start you off on the plans. And even if you don't finish that in class, you can try to wrap that up by tomorrow, the latest. Because some people want to take the time with the floor plan and choose the right, colors and that kind of stuff. So, yeah. So no worries. I'm just trying to get through the elevation, and then we can and then we take some Q&A, right? For those of you who having any challenges. So, any questions so far, by the way? Somebody wanted to ask?
Sir, the gradient, how you get that?
Remember, the gradient comes from the swatches panel. So when you go to remember on the swatches panel, which is this panel here, when you go down to the swatch library, this is where you get all of these options that you can go through. And one of them is gradients. And then in gradients, you have another list of categories as well. So for example, I think I chose either stone and brick or maybe neutrals. I don't remember, one of these. And then when you click that now, the swatches, that swatch will open somewhere. Oh, here it is. And it will give you a bunch of gradients that has a stone and brick color.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Any other questions? All right, let's keep it going. Right, so you want to make sure that it is always locked. The width and the scale is always locked. Sometimes it does give a little trouble. There we go. Maybe one more. Now in this case, if I want to get back this exact color, I could use the pipette tool first and then use the paint bucket tool next. So I use the pipette tool first and then use the paint bucket tool. There we go. Oops. There we go. And that may be a bit too strong. Right, guys.
And when you get used to it, you can use your shortcut keys. So the
this is how even today, like even very much recently, throughout even when I was doing the masters and even recently with students, if you check out maybe like fourth years or master student, those who do architectural presentations a lot, some of these methods are still being used very much now, like, because Illustrator still has these tools, and Illustrator has more swatches and swatch options and swatch libraries compared to Photoshop. So please don't forget about this. Like, this is something that you can use pretty much throughout your presentation, throughout the rest of CSA. Even if you're trying to determine how should you color the background of your presentation board and all of these things. You can find all of these in Illustrator. All right, so how are we on the elevations?
Just give it a little bit more time, sir. Give me until the 50.
All right. I will just chill out with you guys while you and then we'll continue with the floor plans. If anybody else has any questions, just let me know. All right, guys. Hopefully we're almost there. I foresee in our future an early class today. This question, this exercise usually has a lot of questions because there's a lot of moving parts, layers, objects, stuff like that. So Please feel free to ask all the questions you need. I'll give you a couple more minutes.
Sir, how do you flip something?
Flipping.
Yeah.
The easy way to flip something. Where is my Illustrator? Right. Okay. The quick and dirty way to flip something is to squash it until it flips. So, for example, if I have this building here and I want to flip it, I can just squash it until it flips on the other side. That is a quick and dirty way of doing it. The official way, that's I guess more accurate, is to use the mirror tool, which is secondary to the, should be secondary to the rotate tool. Yeah, reflect tool, right. So what you do is you move this blue area where you want to flip it, and then you click. So it's called the reflect tool under the rotate tool, and you click and hold and drag, and you can hold shift to reflect it at particular angles.
Oh, at different angles.
All right. Okay, so let us proceed with the floor plans.
Same process, but what needs to happen instead of inserting, what needs to happen is for the plan, we're going to repeat the exact same process, but instead of inserting elevation figures, we're going to insert plan figures in plan. So if you remember the same process, what do we do first? Well, we need to select the plan. We need to put it on a layer, so we're going to call it plan. Right? when it is, oh, so you need to select everything here and go and select the plan layer and say send to current layer. Now what you'll notice is that you can get a little bit more organized with your plans with your layer in here. Now that you have pretty much have everything on either the plan or elevation layer, most of these layers coming from AutoCAD are no longer in use. So you could actually delete them. And of course you don't want to delete your text layer, but you would delete all the other layers from AutoCAD. So you would just end up with the layers that you are gonna use. All right, now, okay, so now that we have the plan layer, what we're going to do is select the plan layer, and we're going to use the live paint group again and turn this into a live paint group. Click once and it is now a live paint group. So now I'm able to use the paint bucket to fill in the walls here. So in this case, I might want to use a color. This time let's use a much darker tone color. So I will go back to I could start with a earth tone and maybe use a very deep brown. Then I can go to my my color panel and tweak the brown to get the exact flavor that I want to get. After I get the right tone of brown, I think that's what I want there. Maybe I want to get it a bit more red there. Then I need to just drag it into my swatches so that it's now saved. Then all I need to do now is to fill in these walls here with this color. What needs to happen is for the plan, we're going to repeat.
Oh, my bad. I think I am. Okay.
And
Yeah.
of course you don't want to delete your text layer, but you would delete all the other layers from AutoCAD. So you would just end up with the layers that you are gonna use. All right, now, okay, so now that we have the plan layer, what we're gonna do is select the plan layer, and we're gonna use the live paint group again and turn this into a live paint group. Click once and it is now a live paint group. So now I'm able to use the paint bucket to fill in the walls here. So in this case, I might want to use a color. This time let's use a much darker tone color. So I will go back to I could start with a earth tone and maybe use a very deep brown. Then I can go to my my color panel and tweak the brown to get the exact flavor that I want to get. After I get the right tone of brown, I think that's what I want there. Maybe I want to get it a bit more red there. Then I need to just drag it into my swatches so that it's now saved. Then all I need to do now is to fill in these walls here with this color. Okay, so what I'm doing is fill in these walls here. There we go. Oops. Now the key thing is you want to follow the same principle as the elevation. you want to select colors that also go well together. So like these glass blocks here, we perhaps want to choose like a blue, and I'll go around like that. Any color that you accidentally fill, like this would be like a nice green, so I would want to maybe go to my nature and choose foliage and pick one of these green colors. Let me save that in my swatches panel, and notice that I can't fill this area green because it doesn't close off here, right? But that's okay. Now for your floor, you probably want to use a very light kind of color, so maybe I would go back to my gradients and maybe go to a earth tone, and I could pick one of these gradient color. That's actually a bit too bright. Now in most cases you might want to tweak your floor color, so what I suggest is for your gradient, a gradient is not a single color, it is two colors. If you choose to use a single color, like let's say that color, then you would tweak it using using the same color panel, and I would try to make it a little lighter, very light, and let's save that in our swatches as well. There we go. So then I would try to fill in these areas, and maybe I would give the rooms a slightly different tone, so I might want to go to my color guide. Now I might be going a little faster now because most of this process is very similar, you know, where we're basically just applying colors, right? Let's make this a lighter color. There we go. That looks more, that looks a bit better. And let's make that a color, and let's put another color like that out here for the balcony. All right, so you know, you can choose any color you wish, but this would be my choice for colors. Now as it relates to the fixtures, now with the fixtures, for things like the countertops, you might want to use a nice brown kind of color. There we go. Make it a little bit darker so it's more pronounced, like that. And maybe for the closets as well. There we go. And for the actual fixtures, what you would do is use the same method you use for the vehicles, for the entourage, where you would drag in that entourage here. Wait, before I do it, let me create a layer. So we're going to create a new layer and call that maybe fixtures. Then I want to browse to my downloaded folder and drag in that fixture layer. Right now it's pretty huge. There it is. So I want to make it a bit small so I can use my transform and just resize that really quickly using the mouse wheel. All right. Can spin this around. And I can actually replace with an actual object there. Now if you look in the folder, you should see some items you could use. This is a sink. Let's make it smaller again. We can just type in a value, maybe like 20. There we go. And we're gonna rotate that and make it smaller. And perhaps put it here. Use the mouse to get a more precise alignment. There we go. And pretty much you would use this throughout. Now there is something I want to highlight, because now you're going to have to lay out large spaces like this, and this is where your design intuition comes in. So if you don't have a furniture layout existing, then what you can do is use a reference image of a living room. Google a picture of a living room and then try and match that layout. So let's see, if I look for living room plan, there we go, and we could perhaps pick something that is a bit similar to what we are producing, and we can use that as a kind of guide. Actually, let's see, let's try and find one that would kind of look like what we have. So this is one approach. Now if you don't need to be using a guide, you could just look through the categories of furniture and just create your own kind of designs. So for example, I'm going to drag in three different bits of furniture here. I'm going to resize them again. There we go.
Okay, this is
and an interesting thing to note. In this case, notice that this furniture looks a bit like it's floating, and also it's a bit out of scale. So you want to now make sure that your furniture is to scale. So let's say that we wanted to make the living area here, that, and maybe like that. Actually, we're going to use back, let's make a copy of this, use it there. Let's make this a little bigger. The scale is slightly off, and let's rotate this one like that. Now what you might notice is that in this case, this furniture looks almost like it is actually floating, and you might notice that some of the assets you use have this kind of feel. So what you would need to do in this case is to add a drop shadow. Now to add a drop shadow, you're going to go to your, we don't need this right now. Right, to add a drop shadow, you're going to access your appearance panel. So this is a whole new panel that we're getting introduced to, and you basically use this panel to add effects, and effects you can see here with a symbol, and every time you add an effect, it adds to the listings in this list here. So right now we don't have any effects in that listing. So to add an effect, what we need to do is click the effect icon. Then we need to go to stylize and then drop shadow. Now once you do that, you're going to notice that you get a kind of weird drop shadow. So you need to adjust the blur, there we go, and adjust the distance. There we go. Choose OK. And then we have a drop shadow there. So notice now the furniture looks a bit more grounded in the scene. Now you might notice that these effects, that the shadow effects that you add in looks a bit pixelated, and the reason for that is that the shadow settings is actually set to a low resolution. Now to change that option, just some of your illustrators might have this issue, some may not. To change this option, you want to go to Effect and go to Document Raster Effect Settings, and then you want to change the screen PPI to 300. And once you do that, notice that the shadows get a bit more high resolution. All of these effects gets a bit more high resolution. All right, now I'm only going to show you some examples here, and I'm going to leave you to actually create your own furniture layout. But I want to highlight something. When you click on this furniture here, notice that in your appearance tab, it shows you that it has a drop shadow. However, when you click on the next one, which is here, notice that it doesn't have a drop shadow. So this appearance panel keeps track of all your effects that you add to your objects. So in this case, I might want to select multiple objects and then go to effects and stylize and then add a drop shadow. And it will add to the same thing. Now let's make this a little bit more transparent. There we go. It's still a bit heavy there, so I might want to tweak those shadow settings a little bit. So notice that I can actually select back the same objects, go to drop shadow here, and go back and tweak this setting here. So let's make it 0.5 and let's make it 20% transparent, maybe 30% transparent, and let's make the offset more like that and choose OK. So you can find the setting that is right for you. Now additionally, remember that there are also like textures that you can place for rugs. So I've just dragged one in a while ago from the same folder. Let's make it a bit small again. There we go. And of course, you know, you would want to put this behind that layer. So let's create a new layer and call it rug. It's a good idea to always keep your layers organized. And I'm going to go to send to current layer. Now, as I said, okay, we need to put the furniture layer. Oh, the furniture was actually not on the furniture layer, so let's do that. Let's get the furniture on the fixture layer, actually. There we go. One of them is left. There we go. So now things are starting to look a bit nicer. And you can see that shadow really adds some depth to the drawing there. Now there are many other objects that you can add. For example, there is also plants that you could add. You know, and this, you can really make the spaces come to life. There are beds, there are tables, there are center tables. This is just one example, but you can use this example to populate the space. And the most important thing to do is to watch your scale, so that, you know, if it's too big, you need to just resize everything so that it's the correct scale. This is perhaps the most challenging thing that you might have to do, to watch your scale. Now, the idea is to now go in and populate all these rooms with plants and furniture to make it very populated and to make it a very nice presentation floor plan. So when you are complete with your presentation, elevation, and floor plan, you will save this as a PDF file and upload. Take note that only what is on the artboard will be produced in the PDF, so you need to ensure that your drawings are on the artboard. Also remember, your text layer must be on so that your rooms can be labeled. You can move these labels around to more appropriate places, and you can also edit them. There we go. There we go. Then ensure that the drawing labels are there, and give your drawing a title using the text tool when you're done. Here we go. So we want to give your drawing a title, and we want to call it DDM exercise 4. And let's put that in the middle using the text tool. Let's make it a little bit bigger. So let's try font size 21. There we go. And then we want to name this presentation elevation. And then we want to copy this label here. Control C, Control V. And then we want to call this presentation plan. Get this centered. There we go. Okay, so go ahead and now complete these drawings by adding more detail using the entourage and assets in your exercise folder. All right, what needs? Okay, guys, so now you go forth into the world and create your exercise 4. So what do you guys think of exercise 4? Exciting?
Boy, sir, I think it was very good, you know. But just, yeah, a little bit too fast, you know? Too fast, yeah.
No, don't worry. Don't worry.
I know you say we can watch
this
the
one-
video, you know, but
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
we allocate the time for this, you know?
Well, we have the time to go through it because we have about, I think we did very well. I was fearing that we would be here until 9:30, but it's the opposite. So we have a little under a half an hour. So the idea now is for you guys to work on it, and I hang out with you guys as you work on it so that I can take some questions and answers. All right?
All right, that sounds good.
Right. I know you're not able to rewatch it while we're working, but I'm here. It came from my head, so.
Start the video on the website. Right?
Not yet. After today. I mean, after we finish this class, I will update it.
No, so the class or that video.
Oh no, this video is not online. This video is on my computer. Right. So sometimes I make videos and sometimes I mix hybrid. You know, I teach and then half of it is video, half of it is me. So I'm kind of existing in a real and virtual space at the same time. But the idea is that you can just watch the recording to watch the video.
Yes, so that's what I was asking. So this recording where you're doing the tutorial on it, is it on the platform already, or you haven't uploaded?
No, not on the platform yet. Right.
So it's only will be uploaded.
Because I normally pause the video and say things in between. So I rather to upload the class recording rather than the raw video, you know? And sometimes some things change in Photoshop or Illustrator. So I would sometimes pause it and talk about it for a little while, and that is what I want you to be able to watch instead of the raw video. You know what I mean?
Oh, so I understand that. I mean, like the video with the exercise. So, like, you know, the video title wearing the blue shirt, that video.
Oh yes, that's what I mean. That's what
Oh.
I mean. Yeah, that's the video I'm saying. I normally pause it and talk over it during class. So that is the version that I upload. Because if it's just the video, like when you see me in the blue shirt, then you're not going to get all the overlay discussions like what we're having now.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah, which I think can be good, helpful as well. Yeah. All right, so remember guys, please, no purple houses, no shocking color pink houses. I expect the colors that you select. There is a criteria for color. Now, our next exercise, I have to give it a heads up because we're coming to the end of class. Hold on.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, so
What is so must use shocking color for the house?
I said you must definitely not use shocking colors for the house. All right.
Okay, sir. So we can use like purple and that.
You know, it's up to you, because if you use the color guide, it will tell you what colors go with that shocking color, pink or purple. You know what I mean? So as long as you use the color guide, I'm sure it will come out okay. But the problem is when you don't use the color guide and you do pink roof with green windows and it just looks blah. You know what I mean? So you can use whatever colors you want. I would rather you use like normal colors that you would see, how, you know, something that is a bit more, yeah. Yes, what I wanted to say is, what did I want to say? I want to say that next class, let's look at our schedule. We are coming up to one of our first assignments, proper assignments, because what we've been doing is exercises. Well, technically it's an exercise, but it's worth more. It's worth more than the other exercises. So a little bit more risk there, right? Okay, let's go on to the class website. And if you notice, guys, I'm always checking this schedule because I really want us to stay on point so that you guys can have the end part of the semester when you all vanish because the world stops spinning. When you have studio and final crit, I'm not worried that things are not submitted. So this is where we're at now, and we're at exercise 4. Now, we're going to be exercise, or next work that we're going to do. It's not exactly exercise 5, but it's going to be a part of this grade here. We're going to be jumping into what's it called? Into InDesign. And let me double check that. So today is today's the 30th, I think. Yes. So we are here at exercise 4. So next week, yes, we're going to be using InDesign to do layouts, right? And we're going to have a in-class activity again, which is basically an exercise where we're going to learn InDesign, and we are going to do a little bit of conceptualization and learning how to do layouts. And this particular exercise is going to form a part of our studio-based assignment. The reason why this is studio-based assignment is I want to use some elements from your design studio. Have you guys have done, which project have you guys done in Design Studio already?
Tectonics when I want to climate.
Right, so you've done tectonics already, you've presented it already. So I want to use some of the content that you generated from your tectonics presentation, meaning some of the plans, some of the exploded views, in whatever format you had it in, whether you drew it and you scanned it or whatever format. We're going to use that to discuss doing layouts in InDesign. So that is going to be our class next week. Is it next week? Yes. Today's the 30th. Am I skipping a class here? Let me check my time. Let me check my calendar. It look a little far. Let's see. Where is this? DDM timeline. Right. So. Exercise 4, then we're doing, so week 7 is going to be the 14th. Oh, I'm missing a class because the next class after today is actually the 7th. Right. That's what I'm missing. That is what I'm missing. Okay. So this is the 7th. Right. Then after the 7th, is going to be the 14th, and then we're going to have Heroes Holiday, because what happened is that we are going to miss a class on Heroes Day, right? So 14th, and then 21, then 28. Yes, okay. All right, so let's refresh this. I know this space looks a little weird on the timeline. All right, I guess this takes a little while to refresh. Let's refresh again. Yeah, here we go. All right, so today's the 30th, and we are doing exercise 4. Next week, we're going to be using InDesign. So we're going to start the studio-based project, and that is going to last for 3 weeks. This is what we should see here, right? So the first part of this assignment, we're going to do in class, which is why it says class activity. So we're going to learn InDesign. That's our next software. So please make sure you have InDesign ready for next week, right? And then the following class, we're going to continue in InDesign. Maybe we will, or maybe we will go into 3D tools. It depends. I'm going to gauge based on how well you have absorbed InDesign. And if you need some more help with it, then we will stick with InDesign a little more. And if not, then we keep moving. All right. But that is going to start this assignment, which is 15%. Now you are going to use elements from your design studio. So and we're all going to need it digital. So if you haven't done so already, please scan your work if you have never scanned it, because we're going to need it to work with in class next week. Let's see how it goes. We may use it next week. We'll see how it goes. So when you get a chance, scan your studio work if you did it by hand, and have the digital files ready. All right, guys?
Yeah, excuse me before you leave.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having an issue with the live paint bucket tool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to share screen.
Oh, okay. Let me stop. All right, go ahead.
So when I select the building,
Mm-hmm.
you're only showing me this area that needs to be filled, not the rest.
Right. So that means that those parts were not added to the live paint group. So I want select your building again. And then go to live paint, right? And then all right. Oh, you see the problem? The problem is that in this selection you have your text. Live paint bucket doesn't work with text. So this is why we put the text on a different layer. And also your text has an extra stroke. So when you added a black stroke to the roofs, your text also got a black stroke as well. So you want to put your text, all of your text, you want to put that on a separate layer and turn it off.
Think of them on a separate layer. Yeah,
Oh, good. All right. So do the live paint thing again now.
it's still in working.
Is it okay? That means you have something that's not compatible with it. Let me see what you have going on the rest of your thing. Zoom. Oh, wait. No, it's because you have some things already in a live paint. So you can't add a live paint to a live paint. So, all right, here's what we're going to do. Click on the use your selection tool, which is, can I show my mouse? Yeah, I'll use this. So go to your selection tool. Right, zoom out a little bit. Find the, where are the windows that you had in your selection tool? Yeah, that. Okay, click on them. Or just click on one. All right. No, I'm glad you brought this up because how do you know when something is a live paint versus when something is not a live paint? You can know by this icon up here where you see this is a group. But it's not a live paint group, it's just a regular group. Go to live paint again, let me see something. Hover over it, over your windows. So it is a group. Okay, all right. All right, so what we have to do, we have to ungroup everything and then regroup it. So, and also your wall your stroke thickness is a little too thick. So
Oh
I want
yeah,
you
I'm
to
doing that.
select,
Okay.
right. So let's do that first. So let's use the selection tool. Select all of you and just edit the stroke. Yeah, make it like point 0.5 or point, yeah. There we go. All right. Now, I want you to click on, is all of your windows are grouped? Click on the other
No,
ones.
just this one.
Right. So click on it, and then I want you to right. How do you do this again? Go to Object and go to Live Paint and say Release. Right. Now, select everything now, and then go to Live Paint now, and there you go. So now
Okay.
click, and now it's a live paint, right? So you can't put a live paint in a live paint. You can't put text in your live paint either. All right? And you can't, what else? It has some other rules. Basically, live paint works with like just raw lines. All right?
Thanks a lot.
No problem. All right.
Sir.
Yes, what's up?
InDesign is not on the Telegram channel. How do you recommend we get it? Well, I'm not seeing
Just
it.
talk to Mr. Campbell, man. He must
Oh,
sort you out.
okay. All
He
right.
must sort you out. Yeah. Right. Yeah. All right. So pretty much from here on now, all CSA students, when you guys are working on anything graphics, I expect people to be using Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator. We're not gonna have any time to go into After Effects and Premiere Pro, but later down, in while I see you, got life sparing, and I see you guys for our next module. We will probably dive into those. All right. We're also going to touch SketchUp as well. So that is also going to be exciting. And guess what? This year, you guys are going to be doing something that the other years haven't done, right? So I'm going to be introducing some new stuff, which is going to help you guys out a whole lot with studio. All right, so I'm looking forward to that. Hoping you're looking forward to that too. All right, so I think that's it for class today. As per usual, finish up the work, submit it by tomorrow the latest, because as you know, it's class work. I will send the video, and next week we dive into InDesign. All right? All right, guys. Good night.